Bet you didn't see that one coming, did you? All right. All right, ladies and gentlemen. Now comes the time. It's been a week. I hope that you had ample time to enjoy my review. But if you hadn't, click the link down below and enjoy that. So in the meantime, now we're gonna go on to spoilers. So the Bad Boys, they are, they are well within in their 50s now, and Mike is actually finally settling down. So like following following Armando Aretas's arrest, and then his mom's death and downfall. Mike is finally settling down with a beautiful doctor, like a physical therapist, and and he's finally getting on with married life, and um, but before that, Marcus, he is he is not as he has aged, but he's still got his looks. It's just that now he's at a point where he has to stay off of fats, animal fats and sugars, and so that means no candy, no sodas, no nothing, and yet. On the way over there, they stop by a convenience store so that Marcus can get his ginger ale, but then he sees Skittles, and then he sees the hot dog, and he has to he's given in. So then but then when he's about to get his hot dog and he eats the hot dog, the convenience store actually gets robbed at gunpoint. But then Mike comes in, he's wondering why is he taking so long, and then they finally, and then while during the stick up, they're basically this is the greatest way to do an exposition dump. Sorry, not expedition, exposition dump. Mike basically is reminding is infuriated with Marcus for not following following the health guidelines he has to follow nowadays. He cannot eat that stuff, and he's caught red-handed with a hot dog and Skittles to go along with his ginger ale. And it's so funny, and it's actually quite creative. Now they do, the Bad Boys do end up taking down the the would be robber, and then and basically tells the convenience store clerk to call 911. It was actually quite funny. I do apologize for having the exposition dump, but because it's mainly because the setup, the situations that the boys will get into. Marcus is not as healthy as he used to be, so now he has to contend with not he has to contend with having to deal with his health, and then Mike, he is on his way to becoming a much more honest man. So that's quite amazing. Next up we have the marriage reception happens. They have a lot of fun, and then Marcus ends up passing out because of his health problems. He had an episode with his heart, and when he gets up, sometime later, in the hospital, he is basically renewed. He's no longer cautious, and he is going to basically throw caution to the wind. And this ends up playing through a lot of what the movie turns out for him, and it's to hilarious effect. So now Mike's the one who has to he is now the one who has all the he's basically swapped traits with his partner Marcus. So now Mike, because he's married, and he's got people to he's got things to look out for. He's basically become humanized in a way, and now he's the one who has the emotional baggage that Marcus was carrying. So it works well. They're basically the yin and yang of each other, and it's quite awesome just to see all this happening in place. So moving on. So now all this is a great setup for the main plot, which which ultimately causes for their former captain, who is now deceased, Captain Howard, to be framed for a bunch of crimes he didn't commit. And so like I probably won't go any further than that because there's a lot to explain here. So a series of events happen. So basically, a series of events happens where Mike and Mike and Marcus are going. The bad boys. They are essentially being set up for. They're being set up for a lot of wrongdoings in order to prevent them from clearing like Captain Howard's name, the late Captain Howard's name. So now they have to like contend with forces um, that are going to stop them from doing their jobs. So basically, they turn to ammo, like the organization, the operational team that works with like technology from the previous movie. Some familiar faces return, including Vanessa Hudgens, who I love very much. But also like his also like Mike's ex girlfriend, Rita, who is now the captain of the Miami PD. And so like they have a lot of really great interactions together here. So the team I really do like a lot. The son like Armando is actually pretty cool. I mean, he's still got some scruples for basically killing the captain. But he was it wasn't because of his mom. It was because of the fact that like Captain Howard was actually investigating like cartel ties with some high ranking officials, and so the story goes on, and what's uncovered is that the operation is basically being is planned out by a former like Army Ranger turned agent who is actually not quite so memorable. It's just a guy named James McGrath. So he was tortured by the cartel. He basically breaks, and he's basically one of those. He's basically the bad guy from Call of Duty Ghosts, except not really. But basically, he is broken by the cartel, and he turns into a bad guy. So that's basically what that is. I mean, like other than that, like I thought the plot. I remember talking about in my review that the plot is very threadbare. It really is. There's really not much to it except that like there's very thin coincidences, in connections that basically tie Armando as like the key to figuring out who he is. So he just happens to know this guy. He has seen him before and he recognizes him. It's like, okay, whatever. And and so now so Armando is essentially is getting transferred out of his prison and into like protective federal custody. But then like Mike and Marcus escort him, but then that gets sabotaged, and and so like their transportation is sabotaged, people are killed, and that's essentially what they're framed for. They're ultimately framed for killing off their own law enforcement. But then like they crash, and then they eventually make their way back into Miami. But then they get set up because a bounty has been placed on their heads. So now they have to contend with all of Miami's dregs of society. And like there's even some like cameos which don't last for long. Like DJ Khaled actually appears for like literally less than a minute, and then he is essentially like get killed off right away. So after all that is said and done, they eventually finally comes like one of my favorite parts, which is the son that I think he was introduced in part 2 of so basically Bad Boys 2. I believe that this is that his daughter's like boyfriend that she likes, and then they end up getting married, and then they have like so I think that's who this is. So, well, at the very least, I like to think that he is. Like he is like an active like army soldier who was deployed, and then got to come back home to take care of their family, and they're living in the same house together now. And now he's the one who gets to protect the brunettes. So it's and this is played so well. So like the bad guys go on and besiege both Mike and Marcus's homes. They and the son-in-law, the soldier, actually like holds his own so dang well, and it's quite awesome. I love it very much. The action is actually pretty good. He basically faces off against a bunch of all of them, and the and then the ladies that he's protecting, like they're basically unscathed, which is quite amazing. Unfortunately, the same doesn't work out well for Mike's family, which is his wife, and then essentially a granddaughter of the captain's. So what I also forgot to mention is that Captain Howard actually has a daughter who is also a U.S. Marshal, who doesn't really get a lot of play in this one. So I mean, like her only play is that she hates Armando for like taking her father's life, and that she's going to basically try to kill him. And yeah, and I'll get back to it, but basically that's all there is. But anyway, her daughter ends up, so now like the U.S. Marshal's daughter goes to Mike's house, and then ends up getting captured along with Mike's wife, and then now this is essentially the plot that moves things along, which is that Mike now is starting to panic a lot because he's making a lot of mistakes, and this is essentially like he's carrying the worrisome baggage that Marcus had before until they swapped places, and in terms of like personalities, and so it's crazy. It's fun though. Yeah, eventually, from Rita's side, so she's basically seeing the U.S. attorney, the attorney for Miami, and he actually turns out to be the dirty official that they've been looking for. So her and the U.S. attorney, like, they get into a fight. The DA basically, I guess, district attorney, DA, whatever. I do apologize. I'm not really all well read up on how the judicial branch works. But anyway, never mind about that. The attorney is basically exposed, and he and Rita get into a fight. The attorney almost wins, but then Ammo shows up, and then they basically they apprehend him, and so they were able to apprehend him before he can do any further damage. So basically, like, Rita now believes that Captain Howard was innocent this entire time, and because they found the leak. So this is the high-ranking official that the captain wasn't able to find in time. But now that they now have to contend with the rest of the bad guys who are still doing whatever. There's really not a lot of motivation behind what the bad guys are doing. So, but the attorney is able to kind of share what's going on. Basically, what happened is that the U.S. started working with the cartels in order to stop another version of 9/11. The terrorists, basically. So they basically work to expose terrorists and stop them before they can cause any damage to the country. So that's cool. Now, so whether or not that's true, I don't know much, but I do accept it as at the very least being part of the plot, and maybe there'll be some discussion later as to whether or not that's true. Perhaps it is. Perhaps there's some level of truth to that, but but that's going to be for a different conversation altogether. So now the setup begins, and the shootout breaks out. Market. Yeah, so there's so essentially there's a lot of fighting. There's some really cool there are some cool moments that Ammo has in terms of utilizing their tech to identify positions, and then eventually take out the sniper with a drone piloted bomb. I thought that was pretty neat, but it's also great to see Ammo in action, in physical actions here. So and then Marcus, being like the invincible man that he is, he like he comes toe to toe with the albino gator, gator that was like purportedly in the area. So basically, he believes that the gator won't kill him, and he's partially right because he doesn't kill him, but he nearly takes his arm off by chomping at it. So and so now like Marcus is in a way cured of the is cured of like his like belief that he won't die, uh, which is pretty cool. But even before that comes the one slap that I've been like kind of like hyping up. But a lot of people do see in will eventually see in the movies, which is that Martin Lawrence, Marcus Burnett, he actually slaps Will Smith and Mike Lowry in the face because he's having these panic attacks. I think the panic attacks are a great, or actually a pretty fine way to like to shoehorn in the slaps on Will Smith because of the Oscar slap, right? So if y'all saw that Oscar slap, that was the most damaging thing that happened in Will Smith's career, and I like that he actually took that pretty reasonably well. Whether he agreed to it or not, it actually redeemed him in the his public image, where he has to take a slap. He gets slapped in the face physically. It looked pretty real to me. So it's not like this. This. It was actually a pretty well done like slap in the a couple of slaps in the face. And I think that's ultimately what snaps him out of like his panic attacks, and ultimately like lets him be the badass like Mike Lowry that he used to be. So very well done. And I thought this was like a really nice like growing pain moment that they kind of got out of. So yeah, there you go. So ultimately like like the way that how it like resolves is that they do like Mike and Marcus, they eventually rescue like Christine, like Mike's wife, and they kill the main bad guy. It's such a generic name. I can't even remember what it was without looking up a guide or whatever. But anyway, it was fine. It was okay for what it was. It was serviceable enough that the bad boys can actually have their moments again. So, yeah, like we don't learn much, but then that's not the point. The point was essentially the bad boys themselves. So that's all you really needed there. So. And then, and then, as for Armando actually ends up redeeming himself. He protects the daughter of the U.S. Marshal who's out to kill him, like by any means necessary. He basically redeems himself. Like the daughter actually has some moments where she still doesn't trust him, but after he protects her life, she trusts him and she doubles back for him to get him back to safe, get him out of danger, and like so that he has a chance to live. So basically, there's some really nice moments too. Eventually, the U.S. Marshal catches up to the two, and Armando is being stared down by the U.S. Marshal and her gun. But the daughter basically stands in her way, saying, "Please don't kill him. He saved my life." And like she's just resisting, but then finally Mike arrives and ultimately talks down the U.S. Marshal to just basically stand down and let Armando go. And she does. And like now the daughter and then her mother, like the U.S. Marshal, they're back together, which is great. So I saw a really nice tender moment from the Howard family. And then, like, Armando was effectively set free by Will Smith. So basically, by the end of the shootout, the bad boys, their reputations are redeemed, and the real bad guys are exposed. And Captain Howard is actually free and clear of the charges that were made post mortem. So yeah, their reputations are redeemed. And if you and then sticking around before, and then the very scene before the credits, you actually get to see the soldier like son-in-law, and he's basically like wanting to use a public grill, the grill that the bad boys are like fighting over. So eventually, the soldier stands his ground, and he's like, and given that he actually protected the Burnett's during the sieges, um, yeah, so the bad boys finally respect the soldier-in-law, and then he gets to cook his chicken. So it's like pretty freaking cool. I like that kind of. It felt like a passing of the torch kind of a moment where the father, where like the older guys, they finally give like bestow the respect onto like a younger crime fighter, like basically a protector of of their families. So it's pretty cool. I like that a lot. So, and I think that in itself, so like a lot of the values that were presented in such a like comedic way. It's such a really fun way. These are values which I find to be missing in a lot of media these days. A lot of like media these days. So, like fathers protecting their families, and then you get the younger generation coming up there, and they're finally like they're getting the torch passed on to them, so that they can become like the new protectors and stuff. And it's I find that to be really, really like empowering. I think it's really cool that they're the older guys are going to be slowly and surely like stepping aside to give way, but while they still get to do the thing up until they're finally ready to retire. And these are moments which, I mean, like, yes, it is a really fun and kind of a dumb like action flick, but it also like it also like had a lot of really a lot of really great moments, like a lot of human moments. So like you're supposed to have fun, and when you have fun, then you can like relate to the characters really well, and you get to like make a lot of really cool stories, like because in the end, it really isn't necessarily about the crime fighting that they do. It's basically what they do in their lives outside, like even outside of that. They got, when they're done with their jobs, they get to go home and they get to like have fun, and then they get to like just be humans, be really good, decent humans. And that's something that I think it's been missing in Hollywood for a very long time. Yeah. Anyway, that's the. I don't know if that sounded deep or not, but to me, it was just it felt great. It actually made me feel really good about like watching a movie like Bad Boys, yeah, especially growing up with them and watching them. All right, but anyway, that's gonna do it for me for the spoiler section of Bad Boys Ride or Die. But yeah, let me know what you think. I just also want to say thank you very much for like watching my spoiler section, and I hope that you really enjoyed it. So if you want to see more content like this, please do like the video, comment on what you enjoyed and didn't enjoy. If you want to see more content like this, please do subscribe to my channel and hit that notification bell. All right, thanks a lot, everyone. Hang loose.